Hi, and welcome to another episode of GunnerCast ZA. In this episode, we're going to be looking at Arsenal's loss to Chelsea over the weekend and what we could observe and take away from that game. We'll also be taking a deeper look at the new boss Unai Emery and what he's all about. Furthermore, we'll be previewing an important London derby against West Ham United this weekend. It is actually a rainy evening here in Pretoria. And with that rain comes Cornet again to come and rain on my parade.
Yay! I'm here to set the blue mood.
Yeah, I'm feeling very, very blue after a result like that. So, yeah, man, Chelsea versus Arsenal. What a game that was.
What a game. That was brilliant. I loved it. I loved every second. No, I didn't love every second of it. I love the result. The result is what counts.
I mean, prior to the game, we looked at the lineups and it wasn't looking like great for Arsenal. I mentioned this in my blog. I saw this and I saw like Xhaka was starting and I was like, oh no, we're probably going to lose this match. But for you guys, you had Hazard on the bench.
Yeah, I mean, we started with the exact same lineup we did in the previous game and Hazard on the bench. And it's strange for me that such a good player would be kept sort of away from the game. And he came on as a super sub basically when the score was 2-2. And you could just see the control he has over the game. And actually a brilliant start for Kovacic as well. I mean, that sort of was the moment when Arsenal knew, okay, we're fucked. Because you just saw Eden Hazard and Kovacic coming on from the bench, and that is just power on your bench. I love that we can sort of have these players to come on and sort of make a difference in the game. And it really impressed me the way they switched it and the way that you can see the tempo change of the game. And when Willian came off, how much of a difference it made. And I think I was quite impressed.
So besides the super subs for you guys, what other positives can you take from Chelsea's performance on the day?
Look, Morata scoring is brilliant. He's one of my favorite players. I really enjoy his football, and him actually scoring a goal, getting his confidence up, that is awesome. The defense was pretty solid at points. We'll touch on the negatives where the defense didn't hold up. But otherwise, I'm quite happy with the way that we attacked, with the way we controlled the ball. The goals scored were brilliant. Jorginho, his passing was epic. His passing to Alonso to create that space for Pedro, his passing throughout the game, in fact, was controlling. It kept Arsenal chasing and kept Arsenal coming after us, and we controlled the game. There were some points where things didn't go as smooth for us as we probably wanted it to, but overall, it was a pretty solid game for me, and 3 points.
And any negatives?
Yeah, for sure. There were definitely a couple of negative moments. We let Arsenal attack us and get these crosses in out of nowhere. And definitely where you should have scored goals. I mean, Aubameyang and who else was it?
Oh, it was Mkhitaryan and Iwobi.
And that fool. Yeah, he basically, they were shocking in this game and could not convert in the box. That's where you need to score the goals, and they couldn't. So from a negative side, from Chelsea's side, is we let these goals come in, and it let you sort of get hope again and come back into the game, a game which we had control. What I said in the previous episode is that Chelsea scores goals and then we just sort of shut down, which is not ideal because we shut down and we let the opposite team come at us. And that's what you guys did, and you scored 2 goals. And then we had to try and fight back again. We did, but sometimes that's not always going to be the case.
I guess another positive for Chelsea is the fact that Aubameyang missed 2 sitters. Iwobi missed a sitter as well as Mkhitaryan missing a sitter. Otherwise, that score could have been completely different.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Arsenal strikers were probably some of our best players. they threw the game for you almost.
So yeah, a quick throwback to the last episode that we recorded here. I just want to play you a snippet quickly of what Cornet predicted for the match, and here it is.
I'm gonna say it's a clean sheet for Chelsea and 2 goals scored. I'm gonna call it as Morata and Pedro scoring goals.
You think Morata's gonna score?
I think he's gonna score a goal. I think I'm calling it now. I think it's gonna be Spanish scorers. Let me say it like that. Either Morata, Pedro, or Alonso. Definitely.
And there you have it, dude. Like you called it, man.
I know. I
All
think
Spanish attack. Okay, yeah, the score wasn't quite there, but regardless, I mean, you called the Morata goal. You called okay, well, Pedro didn't like come on as a sub, but he scored. Alonso scored, an all Spanish affair.
no, I felt very proud of my Spanish boys. I think Sarri can just hire me now, obviously, because I know his players. I know how the team works. I'll accept any job applications from now. It's fine.
Yeah.
Tell me, what are your negatives from this game? How long is this list?
It's actually not very long. I for one am optimistic after that game. It's a first for me, believe me. I also mentioned this in the blog. You guys can go have a look at that as well. But the score, firstly, is a negative for me, and I think our defense would be the main negative for me because we still need to fix that defense up. There are so many flaws in our defense that we got to find those errors and we got to like cut them out.
Are there key players that you would point out? Or what do you think needs to be changed in order to fix the defensive problems that you have?
I think the main problem in our defense at the moment is leadership. We have no leadership at the back there. I mean, we've got Petr Cech as our captain, but he doesn't have that defensive mentality that defenders are supposed to have. I mean, he's got the goalkeeper mentality, but he doesn't have the defender's mentality. And this is something we are missing with, like, we're definitely missing Laurent Koscielny because he was our main, like, commander at the back. And I can't wait for him to actually get back. I mean, we saw a training video of him earlier where he's getting his fitness back up. So it'll be great for him to come back. Someone like Lichtsteiner, I think, could definitely provide some leadership at the back because he's got the experience, he's got the age, he's got the shouting ability, and it's something that Mustafi and Socrates don't have at this moment. Another part of our defense I would fix would probably be Hector Bellerin and his positioning. I think Unai Emery really has to look at that and maybe start considering Lichtsteiner as a replacement now because, yes, regardless, Bellerin did create the chance for Aubameyang and could have had the assist had Aubameyang scored. But that, I don't know, was it the... yes, it was the first goal that Pedro scored. You could see Bellerin was way out of position and that forced Mkhitaryan to sort of run back with Alonso. Now, how's Mkhitaryan supposed to catch up or to deal with that? He was basically trying to clean up after Bellerin's mess. And yeah, I don't know. It's just, he's not good enough defensively at this moment. And I think that's something that the coaches need to address and fix as soon as possible. And then lastly, another negative from my side would be the missing of chances. Yeah, you could say Aubameyang had a very, very off day because you would put your money on him to score chances like that. And 3 of those chances were very, very similar where Iwobi, Mkhitaryan and Aubameyang skied it and just put it over the bar. So I think shooting practice is going to come into play. And yeah, hopefully the guys have a better day against West Ham.
Now, for sure, you really have to finish those chances. I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, goals win games, so you gotta make sure that they score the goals.
Yeah, okay. And despite the negatives, I did say that I was very optimistic after this game, and I'll tell you why. Is because we can finally start seeing how Unai Emery is starting to shape this team, and I've never seen an Arsenal team or any team for that matter create so many chances at Chelsea, at Stamford Bridge. And like I said before, had we scored those goals, the score would have been much different. And I think it may have actually been a very humiliating defeat for you guys. That's probably the main positive from the game.
What are some other positives you can draw from the game, though?
I think some of the individual performances from the players. Mkhitaryan did very well. I mean, he got a goal for us, and he also assisted Alex Iwobi for the second goal. And Alex Iwobi, speaking of him, he also got a goal and assist. So it's basically like our left wing and our right wing were feeding each other that afternoon. So that was a very good performance from those two. And yeah, that's one of the positives I'd take from the match. But then I have to outline my man of the match again, and that was the young kid, Guendouzi. This kid has got it all. I mean, 19-year-old coming from League 2 in the French division, and he's showing some of these star players in our team up. There's a few stats I actually want to share with you with regards to Matteo Guendouzi. And one of the stats I put in my blog there was that at the halftime whistle, this kid had 100% passing accuracy. That is insane. And I don't know, his distribution is just clinical. And then at the full time, he ended up with a 94% passing accuracy, won 82% of his duels, and had recovered the ball 8 times and chipped in with 4 interceptions. You got to say, the kid like this he's a promising talent.
No, for a young kid like that, that is brilliant. There's not a lot of young players that can control a game like that, and especially against huge teams like Chelsea. So, props to you. He had one of the better games of Arsenal players. There were some moments, I think, under pressure, he needs to control his pressure. He needs to sort of just relax at times. I think sometimes when he does some of those passes, it's a bit of a hot pass where he passes it to another Arsenal player and puts him under pressure immediately. So I think he can only get better from here.
No, for sure. The main stat I actually wanted to share with you was that this kid has made 17 tackles and interceptions combined in the opening 2 match days of this Premier League season so far. And that's 4 more than any other player has made.
Wow, okay, yeah, that's commitment right there. I think that shows you that he's really working hard there for Arsenal. He's really trying his best to try and get the ball back and to put pressure on the opposing team. And the rest of Arsenal just needs to show up as well.
Yeah, and I've mentioned this in the blog as well. This kid is definitely cementing his place in our hearts as fan favorite, and I'm very excited for his season and what he can bring for us. Now I want to move on to our new boss, Unai Emery. We can see he's got a plan, and we're starting to see the signs that this plan is coming together. Sure, we're not there yet, and sure, we played against 2 of the toughest teams in the Premier League, but he showed us what he's capable of. And he's also showed us that he's not afraid to make substitutions when players are having a horrible game. I mean, we saw Granit Xhaka come off at halftime because he had a horrible first half. We also saw the likes of Mesut Ozil getting subbed off quite early because, once again, Mesut Ozil was just missing in a big game. I mean, you may as well have just like put his picture on a milk carton and just...
Where's Ozil?
Yeah. Where's Ozil indeed? Hopefully he shows up for the next game. Now, on Monday Night Football on Sky Sports, there was a heated debate between Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville. And basically, Gary Neville made a very good point about Unai Emery and him being a newcomer in this club, and how players should adapt to his new style of coaching. And I agree with him, because if you have an idea of how you want your team to play, and then suddenly you want to adapt to how your team actually wants to play, then it's going to put a lot of confusion in the players' minds. And I think he's spot on when he says that players should adapt to his style of play. And that if you can't adapt to his style of play, then essentially you will eventually be left out of the squad.
So yeah, that's going to show. I mean, with Ozil's not adapting to the way that Emery wants him to play, and he's subbing off early, sort of showing, okay, if you don't adapt, I'm going to sub you off earlier and earlier, and you're gonna miss games. So let's hope that your players can change to the way Emery wants it to be. And it's not a quick thing either. It's not a quick transition. It takes a while for your players to adapt to a new coach after a very long time with Arsene Wenger. So it's a slow change, and it's something that he needs to ensure that his players understand that. Otherwise, it's not going to work.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, in the past, these players have been walking over Wenger. and a lot of them have been complacent in their performances, and Wenger hasn't subbed them off. But now with Unai Emery coming in, not being afraid to sub these players off, he's basically put the ball in his court. And he's taking no nonsense from these players. And now, essentially, the players aren't bossing the boss anymore. Now the boss is doing what he's actually supposed to be doing. And I'm excited by his courage and how he asserts dominance within that team, because you can easily lose the dressing room if you try and control too much. And that will probably create a negative space between the manager and the players, which is also very bad. But the guy is actually showing something that we haven't seen in Wenger for a very long time. So overall, I'm actually quite excited by what we're seeing from him so far. I mentioned in the blog that we have to keep the faith in him. These are only 2 games that have passed, but we're starting, like I said, we're starting to see what the Emery revolution is going to bring. I'm excited for this weekend's game. Arsenal versus West Ham at home. I mean, this is another London derby. We've got back-to-back London derbies now. First Chelsea and now West Ham. But this time I think we'll have the edge. This time I think we will win, and I think we will win comfortably. Well, at least I hope.
Oh, wait, but don't you have 2 old Arsenal players coming back?
Yes, that's correct. We've got our boyhood Arsenal star, Jack Wilshere, who's going to be playing against us, and I never thought I'd be saying that. I mean, I even committed to a Wilshere Arsenal shirt because I never thought he was going to leave Arsenal. But now the day has come where he's actually going to play against his former club, and he's got a very big point to prove. I'm scared because we know he can bring it. Another player that's coming back to haunt us is Lucas Perez. Now, this is a tricky one because I think he's got more of a point to prove than Jack Wilshere. I mean, we showed no faith in him. We loaned him out. We didn't give him much game time, which I'm very sad about because I rate him highly. I think he's actually a very good striker/winger. And he's shown us his technical ability, especially with that goal against Bournemouth. But the main problem is that West Ham aren't playing him. A lot of times, in fact, for the first 2 fixtures, I've seen him either not on the bench or not starting or not even playing at all. And I just think, West Ham, what are you doing? You know, you guys have got actually a very good player. This is just my opinion, of course, but you guys have got a very good player that could bolster your attack or that could make a difference, and you guys are not utilizing him. So I've got a feeling that they probably will put him on the bench. He won't start the game, and then maybe bring him on, I don't know, somewhere in the 70th minute if, you know, West Ham are behind. But yeah, if he does come on, it's going to be quite scary because, like I said, he's got a bigger point to prove than what Jack Wilshere does. And if he does score, I don't know, I'm 50-50 about whether he's going to celebrate or not because, yeah.
I think he might. I think he might celebrate it.
So yeah, hopefully they don't do any damage against us. Now, besides the old players coming back to haunt us, this is another new manager for West Ham, and yet again we have a clash of 2 new managers in Unai Emery and Manuel Pellegrini. Funnily enough, though, these 2 have faced off against each other in La Liga, and I'll just share a stat here with you guys quickly. Unai Emery has faced Manuel Pellegrini on 10 occasions in La Liga, winning 3, drawing 3, and losing 4. Now, that's not as good as what I was hoping. So Pellegrini does look like he can cause problems against Emery. But the history of this fixture shows that Arsenal are favourites to win this. I'm going to quickly go into our stat attack over here. Of the last 22 matches against West Ham in all competitions, Arsenal have only lost 1, and that was when we lost 2-0 on the opening day of the 2015-16 season. West Ham have also only won 5 away Premier League matches at Arsenal, 3 at Highbury, and 2 at the Emirates. Only Liverpool and Man United have 1 more. Arsenal also haven't lost a Premier League London derby match at the Emirates Stadium since January 2016. And you'll like this stat, they lost 1-0 against Chelsea that day. Winning 6 and drawing 3 of their derby games at the stadium since then. Only Manchester City, with 50 points, have 1 more points at home than Arsenal, with 47 points, level with Manchester United in the Premier League last season. That just goes to show you that we have a very good home record and an even better record against West Ham at home. So I think the confidence will be brewing in this game. But should Arsenal suffer defeat in this match, they'll have lost their opening 3 league games in a season for the first time since 1954. That is some history right there. So no pressure, boys, but please don't lose this one. So yeah, those are basically the stats for this fixture. But now I want to go into the predicted lineups and who I think we should play for the West Ham game. Now, in goal, I'm going to go with Cech. Straight up, I think he impressed me a hell of a lot in the Chelsea game. I think he's proved to Unai Emery now that he is the number 1 to go to. And wow, he's pulled off some brilliant saves. The goals, I'm not really going to blame him for. I think I'll blame the defense for that one. But other than that, he's been very, very solid, and I think I'll keep him in goal. Leno, however, I think we'll start to incorporate him when Europa League comes around. And he will probably play our Europa League matches and our FA Cup matches for that instance. And in the right back position, I am going to go with Stefan Lichtsteiner. I would sub Bellerin out for this one. And I would have Lichtsteiner play in that right back role and also provide that leadership quality that I was talking about for the defense. The 2 centre backs, I would go for Mustafi and Socrates again. I mean, who else are we going to look to besides those 2?
Yeah,
So,
you don't actually have much choice there, in fact. I mean, there's not a lot of depth. I understand Koscielny is injured, but then if you just go a little bit further than that, you don't have enough centre backs, and it's a big worry.
we got a few youngsters there, but I mean, we'll probably play them in the Carabao Cups just to get their confidence up.
I think so, yeah, but they're not enough to come up to these games now, so that's questionable.
Especially when we need the 3 points like right now. So yeah, those would be my 2 centre backs. In the left back position, I would put Nacho Monreal there. I think he had a very decent game against Chelsea. He created some chances. I mean, he bombs up that left flank. And he's Mr. Consistency, the GOAT, La Cabra. In the center of the park, I would have main man Guendouzi again. Come on, you got to have the kid in your team.
Obviously, yeah, obviously.
And right beside him, I would have Lucas Torreira. I would leave Xhaka on the fucking bench.
Not home. He was just maybe not home, but he was just get dropped now. He's so poor.
I think he had a terrible game against Chelsea. He had a terrible game against Manchester City as well. And I think it's time for Unai Emery to start seeing this now and start making that bold change and putting him on the bench from the start. I want to see Lucas Torreira play this match full out. Then, in front of those 2, I'm going to go with Aubameyang on the left, Ozil down the middle, and Mkhitaryan on the right. I know Iwobi had a very good game against Chelsea, and he's showing a lot of promise now, but I would keep him on as a super sub for this one, and I would have Aubameyang play instead of him because I want to see if Aubameyang and Lacazette can form that partnership that we're all hoping for them to form. Needless to say, I want Lacazette leading the line in front of those 3. Hopefully he can put in those chances that we create, and hopefully Aubameyang has a better day.
You mentioned your 1 super sub, Iwobi. Who are the other substitutes you'd bring on, and where do you think it'll play?
I think I'd bring on Ramsey at a later stage. I think he plays a very good pressing game, and he showed that against Manchester City when he led the press. And who else? Oh, Welbeck. I think it's time to give him some game time again. He was not consistent for us at all last season. Hopefully he'll thrive under the new coach, and he's been looking good in training. I showed you the training video, and he did some absurd shots from behind the goal, getting it in. If only he could do those in real games. But yeah, I think I'd probably bring Welbeck on just maybe 80th minute, just give him the last 10 minutes or so to play the game. Going back on those predicted lineups, there's 2 points I actually missed that I want to mention. Hopefully Ozil doesn't go missing in this game. We know he goes missing in the big games, but this game and this particular fixture is actually one that he thrives in. He's actually been involved in 5 goals in his last 4 Premier League appearances against West Ham, and 3 of them were his own goals and 2 of them were assists. So hopefully he shines again and gets his confidence back up. Another player I wanted to mention that I actually slandered in the last episode was Socrates, and I thought he was sluggish and slow, but he's actually proved me wrong. He's not as slow as what I think he is. So yeah, those are just 2 points I wanted to bring up. But anyways, I want to go on to a couple of questions that we've received here.
First question we got: an injury to who will derail your season the most? So in other words, where's the least cover?
I think it'll have to be in our centre backs. We've got Koscielny injured already, and he's only going to come back in about November. Sead Kolasinac is also injured, although he's not a centre back, but still he's a defender. But if one of those two, Mustafi or Socrates, had to get injured, I think it's gonna prove tricky for us. I mean, yes, we've got some youngsters in the back there who could fill the role, but we don't have experience as backup, and that's what scares me the most.
Great. So the next question we got here: do you think that a change in formation is necessary? And if so, how would you change it?
Look, I don't think a change in formation is necessary now per se. I think the current formation that we're playing, the 4-2-3-1, is starting to work. We've started seeing how it's working against Chelsea and how many chances we created. If we do change a formation, I think we'd probably go with a 4-3-3, and that'll allow the likes of Ramsey to come in with, Guendouzi and Torreira or Xhaka in the midfield, so that we've got more midfielders to boss the centre, and then leave us with either Ozil or Mkhitaryan up front with Aubameyang and Lacazette. So yeah, I don't think the formation needs changing right now. I think it's a pretty good structure that we have. It's just some errors that we have to fix within the players themselves, and then we'll be sorted.
We have a final topic here up for discussion, but I'm not sure how seriously we're going to take it though. Someone asked us about the Dele Alli challenge. So yeah,
I think it's a pile of horseshit. It's so stupid. I actually saw this hilarious tweet where it said, in order to do the Dele Alli challenge, all you have to do is indicate with your fingers how many trophies Tottenham has won, and then just hold it against your forehead like a twat. And yeah, that's basically all I have to say on that. That essentially brings us to the end of this episode. Before we leave, I want to comment on the run of fixtures that Arsenal have over the next 5 games. I mean, we've got West Ham at home, Cardiff away, Newcastle away, Everton at home, and Watford at home. And those are very favourable fixtures for us to win. Some would say it's an easy 15 points, but with the Premier League, you never know. I'm just hoping that we at least get between 11 and 14 points for those games. I'd be straight up happy with that. As for you guys have got Newcastle next, away.
Yeah, but I'm not too worried about that. Newcastle, the way Chelsea's playing right now, I think will be an easy win for us. We should show our dominance. I'd actually like to see us play a different sort of team. I'd like to see us play some other players. Hopefully Hazard will start because he's been hitting bench hard and coming on as a super sub. I'm not sad about him coming as a super sub, but I'd like to see him play a full match. I'd like to see some of our other players coming in, like Loftus-Cheek. I wanted to play a full game, as well as Christensen. I think he's a solid defender, and I'd like him to get more game time. Then Kovacic as well. I'd like him to start, and he probably would replace Barkley, but I want to see him and Hazard dominating, and I want to see how their partnership goes.
Score predictions. Personally, I think it's going to be a tough game for you at Newcastle. I think Newcastle are going to bring it. For me, I think you guys are probably going to draw with Newcastle. I think you're going to draw 1-1.
That's a very bold prediction. No, I think it'll be an easy win for us. I think that Al Kepa is going to do well. He had a tough game against Arsenal. It was a very, very tough game, but I think he's going to get a clean sheet. And I think there'll be 2 goals scored. I think it'll be a 2-0. I'm going to call it 2-0 again.
Spanish?
No, I think Hazard's going to score this time. I'll call it Hazard and tough. I think not Spanish this time around. I think it'll be Hazard on someone else. Maybe
Willian.
Maybe like a Willian or a defender, in fact. One of the defenders coming through.
Okay, as for us, Arsenal versus West Ham, I'm going to predict 3-0 victory to Arsenal.
Who do you think is going to score the goals, though?
I think Mkhitaryan might chip in with one more. If Lacazette starts, Lacazette will get 1. And I think Aubameyang might just get the 3rd. I think someone will probably set him up, and hopefully he's been working on his shooting and training. So I think he will probably score that goal and get his confidence up and running again. So yeah, that's all from my side. Korn, thank you for coming through. I guess I'll contact you again when we play Chelsea.
Cheers. Yeah, no, it's been a lot of fun. Obviously, because we won. So it's easy to talk about that. But yeah, definitely I'll be back for more.
As for those of you listening, if you like this podcast, you guys can go subscribe to my channel on YouTube, GunnerCastZA. Also, you can follow me on Twitter at GunnerCast_ZA, or go like the Facebook page for that matter, GunnerCastZA. Anyways, yeah, we look forward to the games this weekend. We're excited that Premier League's back, and hopefully Arsenal can pull this one off against West Ham. Come on, you Gunners.